to all of you here. Special welcome to Mr. K.T.Rama Rao, Mr. BVR Mohan Reddy, and all the other eminent dignitaries that are present here today. My name is Lakshmi Nambiar. I run Srishti Art Gallery in Hyderabad. I'm also one of the founding members of the Hyderabad chapter of American India Foundation. I want to start with a quote by Mother Teresa. She said, "It is not how much we give, but how much love we put into giving. It is not how much we do, but how much love we put into doing." And that kind of, summarizes AIF's culture. Over the last 2 decades, the donors of AIF across 12 chapters have come together to donate and also have come together with shared values and shared a lot of love with each other. The AIF team, who have been working on the ground, executing the plan, have done so passionately and selflessly. To learn more about this wonderful organization, I request Mr. Nishant Pandey, CEO, American India Foundation, who provides strategic leadership to its global operations. Nishant, over to you.
Thank you, Lakshmi. Honorable Minister K.T.Rama Rao Garu, Executive Chairman of SIANT BVR Mohan Reddy Garu, Acting US Consulate General Rebecca Dreme, Principal Secretary Jayesh Ranjan, members of the AIF Global Board and distinguished guests, a very good evening to all of you. I think I must start with a very honest disclosure. I have a very special soft corner for Hyderabad. I spent the first 3 years of my early professional life in Hyderabad. This was many, many years back. And I learned a lot. While I was living in Hyderabad, I got a chance to travel to places like Warangal, Nalgonda, Jangam on a very regular basis. And most importantly, I met my wife in Hyderabad. So Hyderabad is a very, very special place in my heart. And I'm so happy and delighted to be back in Hyderabad after so many years. And absolutely thrilled that the first chapter of AIF outside of the US is being launched here in Hyderabad. So thank you to my team, my India team. Thank you to all the members of the Hyderabad chapter. And we will hear more about it very soon. For those of you who may not have heard about AIF, AIF was set up about 21 years back at the suggestion of the then Indian Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee and at the initiative of President Clinton. Both leaders felt the need for a philanthropic bridge between the two largest democracies of the world. If you recall, late 90s and early 2000s was a very, very interesting time in the evolution of the relationship between the two countries after the collapse of the Soviet Union. And new frontiers were being forged in terms of the business ties and the political ties and security ties. And both leaders felt the need for a bridge that will enable people to people and civil society to civil society relationship to flourish between the two countries. And so that's how AIF was born. Our mission is very simple. Our mission is to empower underprivileged women, children, and youth in India and do it in a way that it contributes to strengthening of the US-India partnership, US-India relationship. We do that by investing in the human potential that India has. Just before we came into this room, we had a session with K.T.R. Garu, and he was talking about the human potential that India has and the big opportunity that India has to play a leading role for the next many, many hundreds of years because of the human potential. And that's what AIF invests in. And we do that by investing in health, education, and livelihoods, the three most important, the most essential, and the most immediate needs of poor people in India. We are very proudly and fiercely apolitical and secular, and we work across India, pretty much all of India, and we have about 59 locations where we operate out of from within India, and this is just the beginning. So that is kind of AIF in short, and we will hear more about our contribution to Telangana from our country director Matthew Joseph soon. Just to kind of, spend a minute on, when we say chapter launch, what do we mean by chapter? I think it's a very important thing that everybody understands what it is, because it's really goes into the identity of AIF. AIF is a collective philanthropic platform. Collective in the sense that it belongs to everyone. There is no one founder or couple of founders of the organization. It truly belongs to everyone, all of us here. And platform in the sense that people can add value in the way it makes most sense to them. And therefore, the chapter model, which we have built in the US, is a very, very kind of central part of the identity of the organization. And what we want to do is to replicate the success of that chapter model in India as well. And we have chosen Hyderabad to be the first city to start with. So with that, I would like to welcome our country director, Matthew Joseph, to tell us a little bit more about our work in Telangana and in India. Okay. Thank you.
Over the last 21 years, as the world evolved at an unprecedented rate and presented many unique challenges, the American India Foundation has consistently worked as a leading and credible philanthropic platform in the US-India corridor. Since its inception, AIF has dedicated its sustained efforts to improving the lives of India's disadvantaged. With poverty alleviation as a guiding principle, we have created a transformative impact across geographies. Born in the aftermath of the Gujarat earthquake in 2001, as a humanitarian initiative championed by Bill Clinton and Atal Bihari Vajpayee, AIF continues to be a catalyst between the world's two largest and most powerful democracies. Driven by our people and our values of transparency, secularism, and non-partisanship, we continue to support communities while transforming India into a more equitable and vibrant country. Further, leveraging our deep connections with governments and other stakeholders, we have mounted the largest nationwide relief response to COVID-19. With a special focus on women, children, and the youth, AIF delivers high-impact interventions in the most essential areas of need: education, health, and livelihoods. Cultivating a robust platform for leadership development, AIF's fellowship program has been nurturing the next generation of leaders to drive an impact across these categories. Targeting ROI optimization and low overheads, AIF is a partner of choice for many organizations and the government for large-scale and ecosystem-wide interventions. Our technical capacity and adherence to the highest financial and governance standards ensure programmatic success, while our well-entrenched and flexible framework ensures innovative solutions and impact at scale. In the last 2 decades, we have helped build awareness, trust, and valuable conversations through our work. In the years that lie ahead, we will continue to foster a culture of equity, inclusion, and positive discrimination, while transforming the lives of the underprivileged communities at large. Among our many milestones, we aim to reduce newborn mortality, create sustainable livelihoods, strengthen the education system, and nurture service leaders. We thank you for helping us bring our vision to life. We couldn't have done it without you.
Thank you for that applause. We've been 21 years old. We've just become an adult, so to say. And one of the newest things that we've done in this 21 years is actually make Hyderabad as a focus state. We started working in Hyderabad with the onset of the COVID pandemic. Most of our work is in North India and the other states of the country, but Hyderabad has always been something that we had to do something, but we never got a way in. And I belong to Hyderabad, and so it made a more special reason for me to work here. So with the onset of pandemic, the first support that we brought to the state was 100 ventilators, which was thankfully funded by Micron. We brought it to the state, and that was the first set of machines that went to Gandhi Hospital to make it a COVID center. Thereafter, we worked on various aspects of the COVID relief work in the phase 1 and the phase 2, which included, we started off with simple masks in the first phase, and thereafter it went on to kits. We had to give hygiene kits to people to protect themselves from COVID. And thereafter, it went on to supply of PPE because that was in short supply, and we supplied to all the hospitals in Hyderabad and in the surrounding places. And most importantly, we started work on oxygen. So we started off with oxygen concentrators when it was not available. We had 2 planes airlifting material from Newark Airport into Mumbai, and thereafter we started distributing to the local hospitals and centers. We were able to supply 48 BiPAP ventilator machines to hospitals when these are all at the time of acute need, when supplies were not available. And we were able to set up 2 oxygen plants, and we supplied N number of N95 masks and PPE kits and pulse oxygenators. Anything that the government wanted, we were ready to supply it from different countries. It's not just from the US. We worked with places like Turkey and with European countries. Wherever you had the machines or equipment, we were bringing it to India. It was 2 years of a lot of work that went into the state. That apart, so working on pandemics, working on any emergency response has been a part of AIF's culture, because that's how we started our work in India with the earthquake that happened in Gujarat. So apart from that, our focus is on 3 main areas: education, health, and livelihoods. And I'm very happy to inform you that we have started 2 main areas, that is education and livelihoods in Hyderabad and surrounding regions. As of now, we work in Hyderabad district, Medchal, Rangareddy, Sangareddy, Karimnagar, and Sirsila. These are the districts that we've been able to focus our efforts on. And on education, we're able to work with about 48,000 children and about 1,300 teachers on education. So we have a number of donors who have come forward and supporting our work in Hyderabad and in rest of Telangana. So we have Micron, which was one of our first donors in Hyderabad, and thereafter we had the Bank of America coming in. Then we had investors like Jay Chowdhury in the US who had put in his personal money to support. And we have other organizations like Virtuo Foundation, Goldman Sachs, Project Future Ready from Dell, SkillBridge from EY, then ICE Data Services, Amazon Future Engineers, and many others like SBI and Microsoft, actually supporting our various interventions on education and livelihoods in the state. But for us, this is just a beginning. We want to stay rooted to this place. We want to stay committed to the 3 focus areas that we are having expertise in, and we want to partner closely with the government to realize the dreams and the goals that the Honorable Minister has set for this state. Thank you so much, and thank you for joining us in the celebration of starting the first chapter of AIF outside US. Thank you.
I welcome all the founding members to come up. You know who you are, the founding members. Please come up on stage. Prashant.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are truly, absolutely humbled and honored to be here as the founding chapter members, the first one in India. Well, I can't help taking the quote of Neil Armstrong. It's definitely a small step, but a giant leap for disrupting poverty, having an inclusive education, and seeing that there's an absolutely level playing field for the lots of Indian talent. As the founding member of the chapter out here, our aim and focus is very simple. How can we tap into the larger corpus of the NRI funds in the United States and channel that into our state of Telangana? We are already branded as a startup state. We are a powerhouse in technology, and this will only make it more inclusive out there. The second point, how can we leverage our connections, our friends, our well-wishers, and see that across the ecosystem we can disrupt the poverty? The third one, to amplify the message of what AF has been doing all these years and see that it goes into the nook and corner of the state. My name is Ravi Subramanian. I'm a media and entertainment entrepreneur. Always passionate about road, less travel, but not traveled at all. I have with me Prashant Lahoti, a businessman, and his wife Rekha Lahoti. Prashant is known as an art and culture man, known for the annual Krishna Kriti festival. Rekha and Prashant run an art gallery by name Kalakriti. And his recent venture is restoring a historical palace called the Sardar Mahal. It's a lovely place. It's being restored into heritage property. Then we have Jay Krishnan and his wife Lakshmi Nambiya. Jay basically was the CEO of T-Hub, one of the largest accelerator in the country. And now he's gone one step further to become the CEO of the accelerator in Canada. His wife Lakshmi is an investment banker turned art gallery owner, and now she's ventured into gamified models impacting the Gen Z along with two of her other friends. That's a startup. And this is my wife, Kasturi, who is basically a trained Montessori teacher and very passionate about singing and music. And finally, we have two members from Boston who are actually responsible for what's happening today. In a very serendipitous way, both are Hyderabadis, and unfortunately they could not make it, but their names are out here. Rajan Nalini Sharma, Hyderabadi, true-blooded, born, brought up in Himayat Nagar, and Garimala Nalini. But Nirmala is also a Hyderabadi, but currently based in Boston. So my friend has written a very small Hyderabadi message, which he requested me to read it out. And Raj Sharma, incidentally, is one of the top 3 wealth managers in the United States and recently turned an author, which is currently a bestseller. It's called the Wealth Manager. Here's the message from Raj and Nalini. It says, to our out-of-town guests, welcome to the great city of Hyderabad, the land of biryani, pearls, diamonds, and pauna, which is the 1x2 chai, and now a world center for information technology and entrepreneurial maker. To our Hyderabadi friends and supporters, a warm welcome to all of you. Hyderabad is perhaps one of the most liberal, tolerant, secular places in India. In many ways, it actually embraces the American India Foundation spirit of Hyderabad. The secular ethos, diversity, and the true desire to make an absolute difference. AIF has impacted more than 12 million lives in its inception, has a dream maker for millions of women and children, and they can aspire for a better life through a spectrum of programs from digital education to mental health to entrepreneurship. We hope all of you stay engaged in this noble pursuit of disrupting poverty in India. We need your time, your passion, and of course, more importantly, monetary contribution to make this a wonderful, impacting gesture. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Ravi. AIF is backed by a strong partnership between India and the US, and we hope with the establishment of the Hyderabad chapter that continues. And I would request Rebecca Drame to come on stage and say a few words.
Thank you, Lakshmi. To the Honorable Minister, K.T.Rama Rao, Garu, Mr. Reddy, Mr. Ranjan, Mr. Joseph, Mr. Pandey, and to all the founding members, thank you. We appreciate so much your kind invitation to attend this launch of the Hyderabad chapter of the American Indian Foundation. It is my sincere honor to be with you all today, and I bring you warm greetings from Ambassador Elizabeth Jones in New Delhi, as well as Consul General Jennifer Larson, who wanted very, very much to be with you all today, but had to go to the United States. On behalf of the men and women, both American and Indian, serving at the U.S. Consulate General in Hyderabad, we offer our sincerest congratulations to everyone who has worked so hard to establish this Hyderabad chapter of AIF, which we are thrilled to find out is the first chapter outside of the United States in India. I am delighted to see the involvement of a diverse group of individuals ranging from gallery owners, CEOs, startups, media entertainment professionals, all launching this chapter. To us at the consulate, AIF is more than just an NGO doing amazing work. Not only are you serving and providing a voice for the underprivileged, your work is a testimony to the strength of the people-to-people relations between the United States and India. AIF beautifully complements the thriving bilateral relations in trade, strategic affairs, and other critical areas of concern to the world. Just yesterday, for example, perhaps you saw, President Biden announced the historic Air India-Boeing deal, where Air India has purchased more than 200 aircraft from Boeing, many of which parts are made right here in Hyderabad, which will create 1 million jobs in the United States. And as our colleague mentioned earlier, you may remember during the pandemic, we supported each other. India was one of the first countries who came to our aid during the pandemic. And then later on, the United States was one of the first donors to provide COVID-related assistance, which totaled more than $226 million. Multilaterally, through the Quad vaccine partnership, India and the United States have worked together with Australia and Japan to deliver a total of 650 million safe and effective doses for the world, including at least 237 million doses that were given here in the Indo-Pacific. In all of these examples, government leaders of both countries drew the support of civil society groups, the business community, and organizations such as AIF to advance their goals via these public-private partnerships. And from what I have seen so far in my almost 18 months here in India, I am fully convinced that Hyderabad is India's best kept secret. There is truly no other city in India that fully encapsulates the robust and thriving relationship of the U.S.-India relationship. And so, as we prepare to move to our beautiful new consulate, very, very soon, I promise, I can confidently say that the United States Consulate General here in Hyderabad will continue to play its small part in strengthening, but even more importantly, deepening the broader relationship. And yes, we will do this even if it means that someone here today is going to have to teach us at the consulate how to do the not to dance, especially if and when they win the Oscar for Best Motion Picture Soundtrack. So again, congratulations to AIF Hyderabad. We look forward to working with you and cheering for you as you achieve our shared goals and objectives. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Every technology ecosystem in the world has an anchor that has helped catalyze growth in that city. Cyient is truly that catalyst for Hyderabad. We are honored to have the founder and chairman of Cyient, author, philanthropist, and nation builder as today's guest of honor. I request Mr. B.V.R. Mohan Reddy to come and address us.
Honorable Minister K.T.Rama Rao garu, Jayesh Ranjan garu, Consul General, ladies and gentlemen, very good evening to all of you. At the outset, let me congratulate the America-India Foundation for opening a chapter in Hyderabad. They did take this decision very wisely, is what I believe. And I'll tell you 3 reasons why I believe that is the wisest decision that America-Indian Foundation did. The first reason is Hyderabad is the most happening city in this country. I wrote a blog over the weekend after being a part of the Formula E celebrations. I lived in the city for 50 years. I've seen transformation all right, but what really exhilarated me is the acceleration that we have seen for last 8 years under the leadership of KCR Garu and KTR Garu. So let's join our hands to give a round of applause to KTR Garu and your decision to choose Hyderabad as the first chapter for India. The second reason I believe the timing is so good is people like me used to wonder 20, 25 years back, saying that why doesn't India have so much of giving as many other countries around the world? And the answer was not very easy to get, but finally we found the reason for it. The disposable income within people was so low that the wealth creation was not liquid, and therefore the giving was also low. But India has gone through enormous amount of transformation in the last 10 years. And as a result of that, the giving has also increased. The statistics tell me that high net worth individuals have grown by 500% in the last 5 years. And so therefore, the timing couldn't be more appropriate than now in terms of creating a chapter in Hyderabad. And the third reason, I think, is the 3 objectives you have, or the 3 areas that you choose to be in, which are very dear to me too, is education, livelihood, and public health, are crying need for this nation, for every state too. And we have lots of examples to say why it is. And there is so much that we can contribute so quickly. But the issue is, how will we contribute will all depend upon how well we deliver it. I'm sure I went to the website of AIF today and read extensively what you do. I'm very impressed. I'm also equally impressed with the AV we saw a little while earlier. But look at one aspect of life is that don't go and ask for saying that we require donations. Donations will come to you. Philanthropy will come to you, knocking at your door if you can deliver results. So here are the three recommendations I have. I've been into this for last 15, 20 years myself. Strangely, if you go and look at our own foundations, two of them at least, one is our company foundation, the other is the family foundation. The objectives will be very similar to what you see with AI Foundation. And the things that we are focused on, and I like to emphasize them to all of you, is one is that spend this money where you can see the impact. Impact is very critical. That's when you see people coming and knocking at you saying that, look, we also want to contribute. I'll give you an example of what we do in education. We now run 30 schools, out of which 26 of them are in Telangana. The key objective was to start with, it was improving the quality of education. That is fairly well achieved. The fact that, we have 103% of enrollment in our schools, I keep calling them our schools, which now house 21,500 children, makes me believe, yes, the objective in terms of improving the quality of education has definitely been done. But more importantly, we laid one more big objective in front of us. When we started this initiative, the girl child population in the schools used to be somewhere between 15 to 18%. This is, of course, in the middle of 2000s, 2005, 2007. We said, this is not acceptable, because I'm a very strong believer, a society, a family, a political party, a nation, you name it, will only succeed only when we have 50% of women participation. And so we said, thank you. We said, let's do this. And what have we done right now? The latest number that we have with us is 57% of this 21,500 children are girl child population with us. So you lay an objective for yourself, you will be in a position to achieve it. Comparatively, and we'll work with K.T.Rama Rao and his team, which is more like about 36 to 38% is the average now across Telangana, especially because we need to include the rural Telangana, etc. We'll have to bridge the gap, and there is a big opportunity out there. Let's work on making sure that the girl child population will become at least 50 in all the schools that are run by the government. The second one that we have also learned is that technology deployment is something which is essential right now in every sphere of life. And so did we in our schools too. You don't need to have books any longer, books or libraries in the physical format. We created digital libraries. And we, therefore, much before even the government of India right now talking about digital libraries. And so therefore, the schools were loaded with computer hardware. And we realized very quickly saying that, what does our hardware do after 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the evening? Oh, people told me, sir, it's safely under lock and key. We said that was not the intent with which we went and loaded this hardware in the schools. So we then became innovative in making sure that these computers are now being used for the initiative called the National Digital Literacy Mission, NDLM centers. While we have 20,000 children who come to school, there are 50,000 adults who come and get benefited in terms of digital learning. So therefore, technology is something which is a key driver for us. And that is something which is important that you should look at in terms of deploying technology all across. Finally, my third takeaway for all of you, and we don't recognize that too well, and please do that, is volunteerism is yet another way of making sure most of our initiatives could be successful. We house about 8,000 of our employees in the city of Hyderabad out of about 17,000 or 18,000 we have. Out of the 8,000 of them, 1,000 of them spend 2 hours a week doing voluntary work in our schools. We just did a math, a back-of-the-envelope math of what's the cost of the 2 hours. It's much more than the money we spend directly in terms of a corporate social responsibility. So therefore, if you can position yourself well, certainly you will get more number of volunteers. So those are the 3 takeaways for me. I know I'm standing not only between you and your dinner, but more importantly, a speaker called Mr. K.T.Rama Rao. I'd like to invite, maybe Lakshmi will do that, but again, I think, we owe a gratitude to K.C.R. Garu and K.T.R. Garu for what they've done to the city of Hyderabad. And thank you, AIF, for choosing Hyderabad as your new chapter. Thank you. I don't need this for sure. Thank you,
True to the saying that a boss has a title and a leader has the people, our chief guest needs no introduction. He's a dynamic leader and a change maker in Telangana. Mr. K.T.Rama Rao, Minister for Industries and Commerce and IT, Municipal Administration and Urban Development, I request you to come and address us.
Thank you. Good evening. Typically, wherever you go, when somebody says he needs no introduction and then you go on for a bit and introduce that person. Thank you, Lakshmi, for that. Thank you very much. Nishant Pandey, Rebecca, the Acting Consul General here, Jayesh, my Principal Secretary, BVR Mohan Reddy Garu, and I see a lot of friends that I haven't seen in a long time. Jay, Lakshmi, of course, Lakshmi, Vijay, all of you guys I haven't met in a long, long time, so good seeing you, all of you. And thank you, to AIF. Life's full of choices. We all make choices, some good ones, some bad ones, but this is a fantastic choice. I must compliment you on choosing to launch your first chapter outside of the US in Hyderabad. Because as I keep saying, wherever I go, because I'm the Minister for Industry, Information Technology, it's my fiduciary responsibility to actually make sure that my city is positioned well. So I keep saying this everywhere I go. Let me repeat it. Hyderabad is one beautiful city where the north of India meets the south of India, where heritage, history, culture meets the new age, vibrant, technology, life sciences, aerospace, and other sectors. Hyderabad is that city in India where biology meets technology. Hyderabad is that city where paratha meets dosa. Hyderabad is that city also where life sciences marries data sciences. Hyderabad is that city where Mangoverse meets Metaverse. And in your case here, Hyderabad is that city where philanthropy meets, I think, some really, really good entrepreneurial spirit that we have in the room. So my compliments to you on choosing Hyderabad, and I'm very, very confident that I can't say the same thing about your travel choices. You started with Jamshedpur, Ranchi, and then you're off to Bhopal tonight. All terrible choices, I can tell you that. Matthew, yeah, we have you to blame for that. And he's actually gladly taking responsibility. Thank you for that. But Nishant, I loved what you said. You started off saying this is a very special place. It is indeed. I thought you would talk about how you met your wife here. You didn't. Is she here in the audience, by the way? You're in for trouble if she is. He actually apparently met his wife here too, so congratulations on that as well. But like I was saying, it's special because of multiple reasons. This is a city where when I said biology meets technology, I wasn't kidding, or I wasn't just doing it for the sake of it. I don't know how many of you know this, but we are home to 1/3 of global vaccine production, this city alone. We literally produce 9 billion. We produce 9 billion doses of vaccine from here, and come next year, it will be 14 billion doses. So we'll literally be producing 50% of global vaccines from this city. We're also home to some of the largest American enterprises here. In fact, Amazon's world's largest campus is right here in this city. And like Rebecca said, this is one of the best kept secrets about India. Because a lot of these, a lot of overseas investors who are looking at India typically end up in Delhi, then go to Bombay. Some of them even end up in Bangalore. And then when they eventually come to Hyderabad, they're pleasantly surprised, and then their decision is made. That's how it has been working over the last 8 years. In fact, not only Amazon's world's largest campus, some of the largest technology companies have their second largest bases outside of the US right here in this city. In fact, the marquee list includes Apple, Google, Meta, Microsoft, of course, which has been here for a while, Uber, my friend Anand Ramurthy is here, Micron, Salesforce, ServiceNow, Qualcomm, Medtronic, Novartis, the list goes on, it's a long list. All of these large marquee companies have done tremendously well here in India, and particularly in Hyderabad. In fact, we have more than 500 American enterprises which have been doing rather well. In fact, just this morning, I met the entire leadership team of a company called State Street. Now, State Street, for those of you who are from the US would know very well, is one of the large Fortune 500 companies, a very large behemoth in banking and financial services. They started with 0 employees in 2018. Today, they have 9,000 people working out of Hyderabad. That's how quickly they've ramped up. Not a day passes by without me or Jayesh meeting some large or small or medium American enterprise who's wanting to make Telangana and Hyderabad their gateway into India. Let me also add, while we are at it, since Rebecca is here, in fact, Hyderabad's consulate, Hyderabad's consul office, issues the largest number of student visas for any consul office in the world. So that's how deep the cultural ties are. That's how deep our people-to-people ties are. In fact, one of the things that Telugus have done very well, Telugus from both states, Telangana and Andhra, have done rather well, is they've excelled in medicine, they've excelled in engineering, they've excelled, some of them even in politics in the US, and it seems to be a growing image for Telugus. I see many of them also doing rather well in spell bees. Whenever I get an opportunity, our children, by the way, here in India are not doing so well in spelling, so I must tell you that as well. So the people-to-people ties, the enterprise-to-enterprise kind of relationships, and now this philanthropic engagement, I think this is taking the relationship to the next level. So, of course, I thank AIF, Nishant, and the chapter chair here, I think Prashant Lahoti and Rekha, Lakshmi, Jay, good seeing you after a long time, Ravi, Kasturi, Nalini and Raj, Nirmala, and all of you who are the founding members of this chapter here. But I do have an ask. You mentioned the 3 pillars or 3 primary objectives: education, I think public health, and livelihoods. I think these are typically, like Mohan Reddy Garu said, these are the principal asks from the society perspective. And we are doing our bit as a government. We are trying our bit to ensure that we live up to the kind of demand there is from the country, from the state. If you actually look at what India has to offer right now, I was telling the team from the US, India is a very, very young country. In fact, 50% of our population is less than the age of 28. That's the median age. 65% of India is less than the age of 35. So as the world is getting older, India is getting younger. And this is, in fact, I can't say this enough, I can't stress this enough. This is the biggest asset India has at its disposal. In fact, one of the things that I keep talking about wherever I go is the human capital, which you mentioned also, and how it can be nurtured and how it can actually help India really jump a few hoops and get into the second world and thereafter into the first world, is something that we all need to focus on, with a lot of synergy. In Telangana, we are doing a few things which I think are in the right place, which I think are headed in the right direction. We have, in fact, the largest number of doctors and the largest number of beds for 100,000 people, for any province in the country, for any state in the country. We have the largest number of that in Telangana. But more importantly, we're also ramping up our healthcare infrastructure. We're setting up a medical college and a hospital in each and every one of our 33 districts. Successfully, we've been able to do a few things when it comes to women's health. The infant mortality has come down big time. The maternal mortality has come down. Institutional deliveries have gone up in Telangana, almost doubled, in fact, from 30% to 62%. And more importantly, education. I know Lakshmi does a lot of good work with Teach for Change, and Chaitanya, Lakshmi, and the entire team. They do a great job. So we have a number of such NGOs, a number of such partners working with the state as well. What I would love to see AIF do is possibly work with us, work with the government as opposed to, and the industry, of course, here. And like Mohan Reddy Garu said, raising capital should not be an issue. As long as you deliver on the promise, as long as you're able to actually come out with an outcome-focused approach, outcome-based approach, as long as your metrics, your numbers will speak for you, I think raising money should be the last of the concerns. A lot of people in Telangana have made lots of money in the last 8 years, trust me. I know. The industry has been growing, the wealth has been growing, the state has been growing. Our per capita, in fact, in 2014, was 124,000 Indian rupees. Now, as of this year, as of a few days ago, when we presented the budget, it has now risen to 313,000 rupees. So, a quantum leap, if you ask me. Our gross state domestic product, again, was 500,000 Indian, 5 lakh crores of Indian rupees. Now, as of a couple of weeks ago, it actually shot up to 13.27 lakh crores. So, almost again, a 200+% jump. So it's a growing state, it's a growing country, but the most important thing, like I think BVR Garu said, is we need volunteerism, we need people to contribute their time, not just resources. So one of the things I would like to quote, of course, I'm thankful to Mike Rohn for contributing their money towards the much needed ventilators at that point of time. And I'm also thankful to AIF and Matthew for coordinating it. But I love what Salesforce does in Hyderabad, and I love what Benioff does world over. They have a 1-1-1 philosophy. As an entity, as a corporation, they pledge 1% of their wealth, 1% of their time, and also 1% of their products to education, healthcare, and livelihoods. I suppose we could actually make this as a pitch to a lot of the corporates who are in this room and a lot of HNIs who are willing to or wanting to come forward and work with you. I think that could be a great way to measure our performance. That could be a great start for all of us. So compliments, congratulations on choosing Hyderabad, and I just hope that you go from strength to strength, and I hope you inspire other cities also to launch their own chapters. But I hope Hyderabad continues to be right on top. Thank you. Cheers.
Ravi? Please deliver the vote of thanks.
Excuse me. A famous quote which says, "Gratitude is the greatest of all virtues." We are truly, on behalf of the American India Foundation and all the chapter members, we are grateful and thankful for the Honorable Minister, Mr. K.T.Rama Rao, Mr. Jayesh Ranjan, the Principal Secretary, Ms. Rebecca Drame, Mr. BVR Mohan Reddy, Nishant Pandey, and Matthew Joseph for making this happen, and more importantly, the entire team from the United States, which traveled all the way to support us. We are very grateful and thankful to all of you. We are also thankful to all of you who have taken the time today and be here. We are truly humbled and honored. Thank you very much. And I would like to make a special mention to my fellow member Prashant Lahoti for getting in and involving himself to bring in all the members, the dignitaries out here. A special thank you. And for the team of AAF, Shreya and Kavita, for doing a wonderful job. And of course, finally, ITC Kakatiya for this wonderful arrangement. Thank you so much.
Lakshmi,